Good afternoon. Welcome to today's Citizens Forum. You'll have 2 minutes to address council as I call your name. Our first speaker is Brian Frank. Welcome. You have 2 minutes. Brian, are you here? I don't see Brian. Our next speaker is Freddie Dallas. Freddie, welcome. You have 2 minutes. Freddie. Okay. Interesting. Oh, Freddie, are you here? Oh, that's you, Freddie. I'm so sorry. Sir, when you start speaking, your time will begin. You'll have 2 minutes. You'll hear a beep at 1 minute. Please don't stop speaking. That just means you're halfway through.
Okay, how you doing, Mr. Mayor? My name is Freddie Dallas, and I have a concern regarding myself for today. It's about funding for GCB clients. For right now, I would just like to, take care of my own issue, which is a hotel or an apartment for myself, because I'm currently homeless and I need food that my GCB staff, they are saying that they don't have the funding for it. They won't continue to pay for my hotel, and it's very difficult for me to, do things on my own. And at one time I was working for 3CDC, which the city of which CPD did not, decided that they did not want to respond to a phone call that I made, and that one phone call has, them not doing that has caused a lot of hardship for me. I do want to ask for also a job inside of the Justice Center. I think, me making my own money will help me to get back on track, including a hotel or an immediate apartment. But I would also like an extension granted for my hotel and job inside the Justice Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Freddie. Deanna, could you get his contact information? Freddie, we're going to do everything we can to find you stable housing and employment. And Deanna works in the city administration, and she's very good at her job. So please share your contact information with her, and we'll do everything we can. Thank you for coming in, Freddie. Next speaker, Stanford Poole. Welcome, sir. You have 2 minutes.
Well, so ironically, this guy they elected for, some people voted for this criminal, and now he want to give a bunch of people out of their land and make a result. And what we're looking at now is city of Cincinnati doing similar to that. We got a lady named Sandy. She got 9 properties that your building department, your law department, is taking her to court to get the property free. They haven't given it. They took 2 properties from her. Now, next week, 18th, they want to put her in jail. They want to get her in court. Now, same thing that Trump want to do, you guys want to do. You want to take somebody's property and give it to somebody else. OTR, a white contractor. Every piece of property y'all taking, you're giving it to a white contractor to make money for themselves and y'all. Now, this got to stop. When you keep on doing this kind of stuff, taking people's property, that's wrong. When your building department and law department says, we go to the poor neighborhood and then we tell them to write them up and then we tell them to give us the title free. Where do you get free property from? You're picking on black and brown people to take property, just like Trump. Y'all no different than Trump. You're doing the same scenario as Trump doing yesterday. You're taking people's property, and then you took an oath with a right hand. So when will you start honoring your right hand when you took an oath? And you act like we aliens, but in this thing, you got the railroad money going, you got the Port Authority and all of them, you're doing everything they want. But a brown or black person, you ain't going to give them up a boot with mud on their neck. How intelligent.
Thank you. Lena Zarub, welcome. You have 2 minutes.
Congratulations. Ethnic cleansing is now official U.S. policy, thanks to the Biden administration, which paved the way. Where do you stand? Because silence is complicity. Palestine is not for sale. It belongs to Palestinians. No amount of occupation, no number of bombs, no amount of U.S. aid will change that fact. You can erase maps, but you will never erase our existence. You can ignore our voices, but you will never silence us. History will remember this moment, and it will remember where each of you stood. If justice matters, then stand by it. If human rights mean anything, then act on them. Mayor Aftab, if you have no power to challenge injustice, then what is the point of your position? I am still demanding the city of Cincinnati to publicly release the names and addresses of the war criminals who served in the IDF. We, the people, have the right to know who among us has participated in genocide. Who will you protect? War criminals or the people you claim to represent? Palestine will be free from the river to the sea.
Jonathan Nortman. Jonathan Nortman.
Yesterday, we watched a designated war criminal welcomed into the White House. The modern world's closest comparison to Hitler sat alongside our president while he spouted shared aspirations of ethnic cleansing. We watched the entirety of our government enable the behavior for more than a year that has led to this moment. The truth laid bare. None of this has been about hostages or defense. It is about apartheid, ethnic cleansing, and genocide. The worst crimes we are capable of on this earth. Crimes there cannot be compromise on, because we have seen what happens to the rest of our supposed morals once we find room to excuse genocide. It is our politicians' refusal to act that embolden the injustice we must all now face. It cascades out from its epicenter in Palestine. Your excusal for the destruction of Gaza has further enhanced the destruction of the West Bank. Your silence when we sent bomb after bomb has given Israel the green light to upgrade its tools of West Bank destruction from bulldozers to those same bombs. They leveled 20 buildings in an instant. Your silence while men, women, and children have been abducted and locked away in Israeli prisons without charge has paved the way for more silence while ICE is abducting and chaining people here in this land. Your excusal while Palestinians were taken to concentration camps to be tortured, sodomized, and raped to death has given approval for our government to send those it abducts to Guantanamo Bay. A government that has ignored the calls of people being murdered in their homes is now deaf to the people crying out from this home. Politicians that have watched lives erased in Palestine have made way for lives of Americans to be expunged. LGBTQ Americans face their existence being denied, and the people they must depend on have sat and watched while the existence of Palestine is being bombed away. Politicians that claim they intend to follow laws should have cared more about international laws. Politicians who have shown their empathy comes with a price tag, a racial prerequisite, morality dependent on how it affects their next election. We don't need politicians who can win elections if that win comes with the task of bowing out of the way every injustice. Politicians who are guided by what their voters want and not what their voters need. Politicians of blue cities and red states. How do you intend to keep them blue when this...
Michael Modnot.
You like to remind us of your family's journey from refugees to making history in this city, Mayor Aftab, but let's talk about history. When you ran for mayor, Cincinnati had the lowest voter turnout in decades. People weren't energized by your campaign. They weren't inspired to show up, but this election's expected to bring one of the largest turnouts we've seen, and not because of you, because of what you haven't done. You promised progress. You even promised new ideas. Was silence and complicity your big idea? You're following in the footsteps of Kamala Harris, and we saw what happened there. How's that worked for our community? And at this point, what does being a Democrat even mean anymore? Because it sure as hell doesn't mean standing up for the vulnerable. And it's politicians like you who have caused the term to mean nothing, but maybe that's your intent. Right now, ICE is terrorizing immigrant communities in our own city. Instead of standing up for them, as Michelle Wu, Boston's mayor, or Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, you stay silent. Palestinians are being slaughtered, you refuse to condemn it. When J.D. Vance's half-brother beats you in an election, this will be your fault and yours alone. You've had years to listen to your constituents. Year after year, you've done the opposite. You've had the chance to stand up, and every single time you've sat back down. And now you're focused on switching up your style, trying to rebrand yourself to this campaign trail. But there's no fancy suit, there's no new haircut, there's no new slick image that's going to save you. The only way forward is to stand on business, to actually get your hands dirty, and not in the way Cincinnati politicians are used to getting their hands dirty, but fighting for the people who need your leadership the most. So free Palestine, and stop looking at the humor, and actually stand up and support your constituents in your community.
Thanks. Susan Landvis. Susan Landvis. Susan Lakes. Susan Lakes, maybe, or Landvis? Welcome, Susan. You have 2 minutes.
I just turned 70. Good for me. I've reconsidered what I was going to suggest and kind of complain about today, things about murals and sidewalks, because we've all got way too much on our minds, so I'm going to pass today.
Okay, thank you, Susan. Jared Hudson, welcome. You have 2 minutes.
The Anderson Slave Jail sits on the second floor of the Freedom Center, just 7 blocks away from where we are now. My first time seeing it was as a child during a school field trip, and I was confused by the combination of the 2 words. A slave jail seemed paradoxical. How do you imprison those who are already held captive? It wasn't until I was an adult that I finally was able to grasp the purpose of the Anderson Slave Jail. It was a warehouse. An antique shipping container used to store human beings as they were trafficked from one place to another along the various routes of our domestic slave trade. You see, the logistics of shipping a commodity by the millions requires vast infrastructure, including a network of warehouses, and shipping human beings is no exception. Our country today faces an effort by those determined to also traffic millions of human beings, millions of members of our community, millions of coworkers and families that came here by legal means, millions of children born here and protected by the 14th Amendment, millions of teenagers who have grown up here and have only known America to be their home. But unlike the slaver who built the Anderson Slave Jail, most of today's traffickers are not seeking profit. On the contrary, they actually seek to spend billions of taxpayer dollars in order to achieve their goals. Mr. Mayor, I want to thank you for your pledge you recently made to do everything in your power to protect the people of Cincinnati from these ICE raids. It means a lot to your constituents, and we will hold you accountable for that promise. I understand that you and the other council members do not have federal jurisdiction over federal ICE agents, but it is critical and imperative that these unlawful efforts to terrorize communities across the country are met with resistance at every level.
Thank you. Helena Jones, welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Helena Jones. I'm a bigger of crime. Back in 2016, Joe Didi covered up for Treasury Winkler. She stole my money out of ESCO. It's been 10 years ago, and the city said they're going to help me get my money back. I ain't got my money back yet. And the next difference is after appeal ball. After appeal ball, you at the corporate court, you lied, tell me I owe the landlord. I don't owe no landlord nothing. The jury ordered me to sue the landlord. They messed my paperwork up down there. You ain't right after appeal ball. You need to go to jail. You not no jury. And that big Ivy Road. Ivy Road took my body camera CD and she ain't never gave it back. And I ended up taking her to court in November. I took her to court in small claim court. They said I was in the wrong courtroom and they took my $64 and I ain't never got it back. She took my CD and discarded and city manager don't know what she talking about. She need to examine herself. She not right. I'm a big old crying. I want my body camera CD. Y'all is wrong. Y'all violate my constitutional right, and that's not right. All y'all need to go to jail and rot. Y'all ain't right. That's wrong for doing me like that. Cover my body camera up. Said when they found. I went to the board meeting. Gay David gave me a copy of my body camera CD, and I wrote, she said she wanted to see what's on it, and she never did, gave it back. And I got a witness, he said, Mr. Pooh, my witness, he said, yeah, I got Miss Jones' CD, I'm going to give it back. She ain't gave my CD back yet. What you going to do after appeal ball? Do you want to ride? Do you want this city tour after appeal ball? You see me? Do you want this city tour? That was my question. Do you want this city tour? Because you ain't doing nothing. You ain't never a zero. All y'all some zero. I'm a hero, not no zero.
Thank you. David Dupree. David Dupree. Welcome, David. You have 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, council members. I'm David Dupuy, Director of the American Sign Museum, speaking here on behalf of a motion in support of our solar project. Thank you to Councilmember Owens and her office for the support. American Sign Museum is located in Camp Washington, and we're called to call Camp Washington home. Camp Washington has long been an important part of the fabric of our city, centrally located and with a strong manufacturing history. It has a rich tradition, and it continues to have a maker tradition, and it now sits at the intersection of both the arts and industry. The American Sign Museum has been home and in Camp Washington since 2012, and just recently we doubled down on our commitment to that neighborhood, investing over $5.5 million in an expansion. And I'm happy to say that since our expansion in July, we've seen a 50% increase in visitors. And most of those, a vast majority, are coming from outside the Cincinnati region to experience not only Cincinnati, but Camp Washington for the first time. Solar is the next step in our support for the Camp Washington neighborhood. As the largest public sign museum in the country, a major operating expense for us is utilities. And for us, hedging against rising energy costs is a significant step towards financial sustainability that will allow us to lean into our mission to celebrate the rich history of signs through education and preservation. So this project is very important to us. It's also a project that's important to Camp Washington neighborhood. We would be the first museum in the Cincinnati area to go solar, and that's important for Camp Washington, and something that we believe is important for the neighborhood and the city. So thank you to Councilmember Owens for the support, and thank you, Council, for your consideration. Federal funding is very much up in the air, and so local government support is critical this time. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Stefan Pryor. Welcome. You have 2 minutes.
Hold on. Come on now, y'all cheating. Y'all need to turn that camera angle over in front of us. Y'all sit on that dais every week, and y'all know that daggone camera is not on us. Y'all wrong for that as city council members. Y'all ain't even asking questions about it and saying why the camera's not on the people, the citizen. Y'all wrong for that, man. You run against J.D. Vance, brother. He might beat you, man. He might beat you now. Never say never. But as I'm just Kenyon Bar apologies, Mr. Scotty Johnson, you stood up on this one. We need all y'all to come together and put a study group together to find out about this Kenyon Bar apology. This aggregation program, Mika Owens over there, I hope you're playing your Duke bill on your phone, but you need to get rid of this aggregation program because people's not saving no money, not at all. This gun advance piece, y'all gave up y'all okayed $275,000. That's trash. See, y'all pay Future Commission $1 million for a study to tell y'all what to do with taxpayer dollars? That don't even make sense. Not at all. Abby, that gun lockbox at the police station, that's stupid. I keep telling you that. I don't know what you came up with that for. They don't leave no gun in no police station. But the whole point I'm getting to is this community investment trust. What happened to that? The community investing in the community. Y'all keep lying to us. Why y'all keep doing this over and over again, y'all? Come on now. No wonder Miss Judge Talent about to leave. She tired of this stuff too. But it's sad though what y'all doing up in here. Y'all got to stop this. No cameras, angles. It's way over here now. We got to talk to the people this way now. And that's sad, man. That's sad, Mary Abtel. You can do something about that. And I don't know why you don't. You're wrong for that. We got to talk to the people over this way. The camera used to be right here. Y'all wrong for that, man. I approve that message on TV behind me.
Thank you. Angela Pearson, welcome. You have 2 minutes.
Because I live in Madisonville all my life, and I've seen what black people have went through in Madisonville, buying homes back in the 60s, 50s and the 60s. We were not allowed to live in the middle of Madisonville. And we had the opportunity, my parents and grandparents had the opportunity to buy those houses because of the civil rights movement where white folks didn't want to live next door to black people. They went out there and built out there in Tri-County, Northgate. It was all farmland at one time when I was younger. But they ran to get away from black people because they didn't want to live next door to black people. But now gentrification come along and pushing a lot of black people out of our community. It was 70% black, 30% white, now has flipped. It's 70% white and 30% black. This council owes black people in Madisonville the moral obligation to look out for our community. We put y'all up here to be fair to the black communities in this city. We're losing our communities. We have no community to identify ourselves as our community, but white people can have Hyde Park. You can have Indian Hill. You can have Oakley. Now you're taking over the ramp down here and pushing all the black people out of downtown. What do y'all want from us? Where do y'all want us to live? Our money circulates in this city like y'all white people's money and dollars. So what are y'all doing with our black dollars? Our black dollars is not benefiting for us for nothing in this city. You're not looking out for our community. It's time for y'all to start looking for our community because guess what? Something's going to come around the corner and y'all ain't going to like. Thank you.
Bishop Sonny James, welcome. You have 2 minutes.
You know you're wrong.
Welcome, Bishop.
Racist. All of y'all racist down here. Black people, shame on y'all. Y'all betrayed your own black community. Pull us out of our community, the white people come in and take over our community. How dare you?
Bishop.
Y'all need to be off the bench. All of y'all.
Bishop, you're next.
First and foremost, let me just stand before each and every one of you as a concerned citizen. We live in troubling times right now. We have the voice of people who are troubled. It is time that we really embrace partnership. Partnership in such a way that it answers the unanswered questions. I stand with the people. But I stand here today, I came because I realize that a lot of folk have given up on the pastors because we have not had the presence or the partnerships that we need to go after. So I came today to commit that I will make sure that the voices of the people are being heard, but to work with our peers. Because listen, no matter what we think about each other, we're Cincinnati. And that means we've got to grow together. And the wheat and the tares have to grow together and let God do the separating. The last time I checked, nobody, and I'll speak for myself first if that's okay, nobody is without fault, without flaws. But will we stand together as a family to rid our community of anything that plagues us? And it must start with clergy. We have to stand. And so, as my time runs out, I'm so honored that I came today just to say to the people, we're all going to.
Thank you, Bishop. Matt Schmiel is on Zoom. You're next, sir.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, go ahead.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you for letting me speak. I just have some concerns about the Brent Spence corridor project, and I believe we're missing a really big opportunity to put Cincinnati on a much better path. I do appreciate the progress we've made in regard to parking and zoning with connected communities. I believe that was positive, but I think there's a lot more we can do. I appreciate the mayor addressing the mistakes of urban renewal, but I fear that we're really not learning from our past mistakes with this new bridge, especially on the Kentucky side. I understand the city officials are very busy, but I do have a 15-minute video from a planning group I'd like to share with you through email if I could. I also, there's other projects occurring in Cincinnati, which I think makes this an ideal time to do something bold. The Hamilton County riverfront work and the subway discussion, which I do hope we have as a subway again instead of some of the other proposals. I do think we need to think bigger. We haven't capped the freeway yet, despite trying to for years. And I think there's an opportunity to take I-71 instead through the Norwood Parkway and reclaim the core of our city. I did a cursory report for a graduate engineering class on how we could de-freeway the city and fix some of our urban renewal mistakes and pay for transit and density in the core of the city. I wanted to ask if I could share this with you. The concepts need some refining, but I have an offer to join a professor's research team to further explore this. But before I put a lot of time into it, I want to make sure that the council is even interested in the idea. I can send you a draft report this week. I know you're busy, but I'd appreciate you looking at it. I do love this city, but we really need to push for less car dependency and more community-focused design and density and transit like we used to have in Cincinnati. I know a lot of people I know from UC simply want to move to Europe because it's just so much more human design. So I hope you'll consider it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mohammed Ahmed, welcome. You have 2 minutes. Could we start his time over? He needed time for his vanity camera. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Council. I'm sure that you've seen the global headline is that the President of the United States, sitting with a genocidal war criminal named Benjamin Milikowski, openly said that he wants to remove 2 million Palestinians from Gaza. And Milikowski heard this knowing very well that this is illegal and immoral and evil in every regard of human sanctity. And he just casually looked around the room of reporters, smiling and grinning, all after he single-handedly carried out a genocide of at least 186,000 Palestinians. So when President Trump is casually talking about clearing out Palestinians, do you know what that's called? Ethnic cleansing. When he says that America will usurp and break every international law known to mankind by taking over Gaza, do you know what that's called? Land theft, which we also know as colonialism. But when a genocidal war criminal like Milikowski is so shamelessly, comfortably grinning with a level of arrogance that is unmatched in the world today, do you know why he's able to do that? Because he knows some people in power, including people at the local level, such as here in Cincinnati, won't even dare stand up to him. And before anyone tries to make this about the Trump administration, remember that the demolition zone that Trump kept talking about was actually paved by the Biden administration. This is not about left versus right or liberal versus conservative or Democrat versus Republican. This is about good versus evil. There is no neutrality between good and evil, and you are either one or the other. Ask yourself which side you're on before it's too late, if it's not too late already.
Thank you. Jennifer Crow, welcome. You have 2 minutes.
Hello, Mayor. We appreciate all that you have done. I am Jennifer Crow.
And I'm Annie Cannon.
And we are here to congratulate you on making things more accessible to people with disabilities. But remember, we serve all peoples: Black, white, Caucasian, Palestinian, Israeli. We don't really care right now, but we serve everybody, and everybody deserves a vote. Please stand for our country and keep on doing the things that you can. Accessibility can be better for everybody. If we have more benches, we have more porta potties, we have ramps in theaters and restaurants. That is a start, but we will continue fighting for all people.
And also, I want to also say what Gilly just said about the pizza parties. I am very grateful for all the work that you guys have done. And I really want for the mayor and everybody who's here today to continue doing all the hard work that you have done. Please give people with disabilities a chance to help others. And I think that we can make our community safe by adding more benches, more accessibility for people to work in a lot of different places, especially in restaurants, especially for me, because I work in a restaurant and I want to see restaurants to have abilities to get into and out of the restaurants.
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Okay, that ends public comment. Next week, first will be Linda Kamhai, then Alexander Whitty, then Tal Mamadou, Sam Bedry, Inez Durden, and Brian Westfall.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Johnson, please.
Just a very quick, brief statement. I stand united with other world leaders and the Palestinian community in condemning the disrespectful, inhumane statement that came from the President of the United States in turning Gaza into a Riviera. It was disrespectful, it was no compassion, and it was really hateful to make a statement of that magnitude based on what's been going on over the last almost 3 years. As has already been said in these chambers, we got to show some level of compassion one for another. And because we're not being affected today does not mean tomorrow we all could be affected. So for the President of the United States to say something so distasteful, disrespectful, and dehumanizing to any group of people is completely unacceptable. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you.
We'll begin today's business portion of Cincinnati City Council, and the clerk will please call the roll.
Councilmember Albee. Here. Here. Councilmember Cramerdine.
Here.
Councilmember Jeffries.
Here.
Here. Councilmember Johnson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Kearney.
Here, and thank you, Councilmember Johnson.
Councilmember Nolan.
Here.
Councilmember Owens.
Here.
Councilmember Parks.
Here.
Councilmember Walsh.
Here.
Please stand for a moment of silence. And now the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The minutes from the previous meeting will be approved and filed without objection. Hearing none, they'll be approved and filed. Moving to our agenda, item 1 will be referred to the Equitable Growth and Housing Committee. Items 2 through 37 are as indicated. Item 38 will begin in Budget and Finance. And Clerk, could we please have the first reading?
Emergency ordinance authorizing the establishment of new capital improvement program project account, Shillitoes West Remediation ODOD grant to provide additional asbestos abatement to real property located at 137 West 7th Street in the Central Business District.
Roll call on suspension.
Councilmember Albee? Yes. Councilmember Crammerdine?
Yes.
Councilmember Jeffries?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kearney?
Yes.
Councilmember Nolan?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Parks?
Yes.
Councilmember Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Crammerding.
Mayor, this ordinance accepts a $1 million grant for asbestos abatement at the Shillitoe West property owned by the city at 137 West 7th Street, another part of the exciting Convention Center District.
Other comments? Roll call on passage, please.
Councilmember Albee? Yes. Councilmember Crammerdine?
Yes.
Councilmember Jeffries?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kearney?
Yes.
Councilmember Nolan?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Parks?
Yes.
Councilmember Walsh?
Yes.
Roll call on emergency.
Councilmember Albee? Yes. Councilmember Crammerdine?
Yes.
Councilmember Jeffries?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kearney?
Yes.
Councilmember Nolan?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Parks?
Yes.
Councilmember Walsh?
Yes.
Item 39, first reading, please.
Ordinance authorizing city manager to apply for a grant of up to $50,000 from the Bloomberg Philanthropies Mayor's Challenge Grant Program to support a grocery delivery pilot program in Cincinnati.
Roll call on suspension.
Councilmember Albee?
Yes.
Councilmember Crammerdine?
Yes.
Councilmember Jeffries?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kearney?
Yes.
Councilmember Nolan?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Parks?
Yes.
Councilmember Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Crammerding.
I'll defer to my colleague, Councilmember Albee.
Ms. Albee.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited, and thank you to the mayor for leading on this. So City Cincinnati, with the mayor's office leading here, has applied to the Mayor's Challenge, which, for a little bit of background, it was an invitation for us to apply against any city in the world with a population over 100,000 residents to, quote, reimagine the most essential service we deliver to residents. So I'm really excited. We submitted the grocery delivery pilot that you all have been hearing about. Again, it's Cincinnati against the world on this one, so keep your fingers crossed, but really excited about this innovative idea to bring food to people's front doors.
Other comments? Ms. Owens.
Thank you. Yes, I wanted to say this is great to see this work moving forward and how it can be in alignment with the impact award that we also just passed, which those RFPs went out the door. So this work is moving forward.
Great. Other comments? Roll call on passage, please.
Councilmember Albee?
Yes.
Councilmember Crammerdine?
Yes.
Councilmember Jeffries?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson? Vice Mayor Kearney?
Yes.
Councilmember Nolan?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Parks?
Yes.
Councilmember Walsh?
Yes.
Item 40, first reading, please.
Emergency ordinance authorizing establishment of new capital improvement program project count, ODOD Post 2 assessment grant for voluntary action program compliant environmental assessments and preparation of a remedial action plan for the real property located at 750, 752, and 758 East McMillan Street in Walnut Hills.
Roll call on suspension.
Councilmember Albee?
Yes.
Councilmember Crammerdine?
Yes.
Councilmember Jeffries?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson? Vice Mayor Kearney?
Yes.
Councilmember Nolan?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Parks?
Yes.
Councilmember Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Crammerding.
Mayor, this is appropriating a grant for $200,000 for environmental remediation. The site is in Walnut Hills. It was a former dry cleaner, and will clean up chemicals and other substances in the surrounding land.
Other comments? Roll call on passage.
Councilmember Albee?
Yes.
Councilmember Crammerdine?
Yes.
Councilmember Jeffries?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kearney?
Yes.
Councilmember Nolan?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Parks?
Yes.
Councilmember Walsh?
Yes.
Roll call on emergency.
Councilmember Albee?
Yes.
Councilmember Crammerdine? Councilmember Jeffries?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kearney?
Yes.
Councilmember Nolan?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Parks?
Yes.
Councilmember Walsh?
Yes.
Item 41, first reading, please.
Ordinance authorizing the city manager to apply for, accept, and appropriate a grant of up to $108,000 from the fiscal year 2024 Ohio Drug Law Enforcement Fund through the Ohio Department of Public Safety, Office of Criminal Justice Services.
Roll call on suspension.
Councilmember Albee?
Yes.
Councilmember Crammerdine?
Yes.
Councilmember Jeffries?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kearney?
Yes.
Councilmember Nolan?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Parks?
Yes.
Councilmember Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Crammerding.
Mayor, this is a $108,000 grant that will go to provide resources for investigators, and the grant is from the Ohio Drug Law Enforcement Fund.
Any other comments? Roll call on passage, please.
Councilmember Albee?
Yes.
Councilmember Crammerdine?
Yes.
Councilmember Jeffries?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kearney?
Yes.
Councilmember Nolan?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Parks?
Yes.
Councilmember Walsh?
Yes.
Item 42, first reading, please.
Emergency ordinance authorizing establishment of capital improvement program project account Camp Washington Skate Park ODNR grant to provide grant resources for the construction of a skate park at the Camp Washington Recreation Area.
Roll call and suspension.
Councilmember Albee?
Yes.
Councilmember Crammerdine?
Yes.
Councilmember Jeffries?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kearney?
Yes.
Councilmember Nolan? Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Parks?
Yes.
Councilmember Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Crammerding.
Mayor, it's a $300,000 grant that will further the skate park in Camp Washington. Congratulations to the skateboarders and their advocacy over the last several years that are making this project closer to fruition.
Other comments? City Manager Long, any comments on the skate park?
No comments.
Okay. Roll call and passage.
Councilmember Albee?
Yes.
Councilmember Crammerdine?
Yes.
Councilmember Jeffries?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson? Vice Mayor Kearney?
Yes.
Councilmember Nolan?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Parks? Councilmember Walsh?
Yes.
Roll call and emergency.
Councilmember Albee?
Yes.
Councilmember Crammerdine?
Yes.
Councilmember Jeffries?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson? Vice Mayor Kearney?
Yes.
Councilmember Nolan?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Parks?
Yes.
Councilmember Walsh?
Yes.
Item 43, first reading, please.
Ordinance authorizing city manager to accept and appropriate a donation of up to $18,250 from the University of Cincinnati physicians to provide resources for the necessary training equipment for the Cincinnati Fire Department's paramedic school.
Roll call and suspension.
Councilmember Albee?
Yes.
Councilmember Crammerdine?
Yes.
Councilmember Jeffries?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson? Vice Mayor Kearney?
Yes.
Councilmember Nolan?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Parks?
Yes.
Councilmember Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Crammerding.
Thank you to the UC physicians for this grant that will go to assist in the training of our paramedics.
Other comments? Roll call and passage, please.
Councilmember Albee? Yes. Councilmember Crammerdine?
Yes.
Councilmember Jeffries?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson? Vice Mayor Kearney?
Yes.
Councilmember Nolan?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Parks?
Yes.
Councilmember Walsh?
Yes.
Item 44, first reading, please.
Emergency ordinance approving and authorizing the city manager to execute a community reinvestment area tax exemption agreement with 510 West Liberty.
Roll call and suspension.
Councilmember Albee?
Yes.
Councilmember Crammerdine?
Yes.
Councilmember Jeffries?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson? Vice Mayor Kearney?
Yes.
Councilmember Nolan?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Parks?
Yes.
Councilmember Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Crammerding.
Mayor, this is an economic development incentive that will provide 13 new units of housing in Over the Rhine.
Other comments?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Jeffries.
Yeah, it's a great project. It is market rate, but naturally affordable for folks. I did want to add, bigger picture. We had CDF, the Cincinnati Development Fund, come in to equitable growth in housing a little more than a week ago, and they reported that we are producing 715 units last year. That's 3 times more than was produced every year in 2017 to 22. So in the bigger picture, this is just adding the number of units. So for those folks who are interested in what are we doing in affordable housing, we are now producing 3x more. 85% of these are income restricted than we were in the previous 5 years on average per year. So just want to point that out because I think these incremental ones come along and they're fantastic, but it's part of a bigger picture of everything this council is doing to support affordable housing.
Could you repeat that stat, the 3x stat?
Yeah, and I could share it. It's in the presentation for those in the public. But in 2023-24, we produced 715 units of housing, and that 85% income restricted. So 715 versus in 2017 to 2022, on average per year, we produced 258. So 258 to 715. So it's just something for folks, it's almost 3x, maybe not quite 3x, but something for people to keep in mind that this is a great project, adding 13 incremental housing that are affordable, but it's part of a bigger picture, an investment that we've made in affordable housing that I think everyone needs to understand.
Thank you for reiterating that, Mr. Jeffries. Other comments? Mr. Nolan.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just to piggyback on what Councilmember Jeffries noted, that these are market rate units that are coming online at rent that is affordable to those with 50% AMI or lower. So when we think about the opportunity to help stimulate economic development in communities like this that have not historically seen it, we have to think critically about the tools that we have to help promote that growth, because it doesn't always happen naturally. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments? Roll call and passage, please.
Councilmember Albee?
Yes.
Councilmember Crammerding?
Yes.
Councilmember Jeffries?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson? Vice Mayor Kearney?
Yes.
Councilmember Nolan?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Parks?
Yes.
Councilmember Walsh?
Yes.
Roll call on emergency.
Councilmember Albee?
Yes.
Councilmember Crammerding?
Yes.
Councilmember Jeffries?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson? Vice Mayor Kearney?
Yes.
Councilmember Nolan?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Parks?
Yes.
Councilmember Walsh?
Yes.
Item 45 is a motion from Councilmember Crammerding that the administration prepare a report within 3 weeks on the various proposals that have been submitted for consideration of funding from the Capital Project Fund. Mr. Crammerding.
Mayor, as a refresher, we had $1.2 million left over from the carryover project. We established a process whereby every council member had the opportunity to put forth potential capital projects for that money. That has been done. Now the administration will prepare a combined report on those projects. We will receive that report and we'll further deliberate in the Finance Committee about how we should allocate those funds.
Thank you. Other comments?
Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you. I know we'll talk more about this, and so I can appreciate the approach to efficiency here. I also want to highlight that given the executive orders, the federal administration, the environment that we're in, millions of dollars of work that we've done in the city and efforts around this country in terms of sustainability, when we have things like the IRA being at jeopardy, and millions of dollars coming from OES that they received, and that's just OES. We got other departments that are looking at impacts. So it's decisions like this that we can continue to make and continue to move our Green Cincinnati plan forward. So I look forward to the conversation in budget.
Other comments? Roll call on adoption of the motion, please.
Councilmember Albee?
Yes.
Councilmember Crammerding?
Yes.
Councilmember Jeffries?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson? Vice Mayor Kearney?
Yes.
Councilmember Nolan?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Parks?
Yes.
Councilmember Walsh?
Yes.
Item 46 is a motion from the Vice Mayor Kearney, that the administration provide a report within 60 days, including but not limited to information on what resources and mechanisms are in place for the public to report and address hate crimes, the existence of a hate crime hotline, availability to the public of collected data, follow-up procedures, and policy for reporting data on hate crimes to Cincinnati City Council. This is in the Public Safety and Governance Committee. Mr. Johnson, may I have the Vice Mayor introduce the item?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. You really said it all. We know that hate crimes are increasing in our area, and people are saying, you know, what's the procedure, what's the policy? There is a hate crime hotline. We want to make sure that people know about it. And so really this is a matter of getting a report on all of those resources that we have in place to deal with hate crimes, because we will not tolerate them.
Thank you. Other comments? Ms. Albee.
Thank you. I'm grateful for the Vice Mayor for this. You know, you've heard me talk on and off throughout the year about this topic and the difference between a hate crime and a hate incident. So I will reiterate for folks, if a crime has been committed, like assault, you should absolutely call 911. That should be your first thing you do. For other things, we know that hate online has been increasing over time, so really looking forward to what we can do as a city to better track, measure, and respond to hate incidents, so things that aren't a crime. So thinking of some of the online things we've seen recently. So thank you to the administration for working with us on this and looking forward to next steps.
Other comments?
Mayor.
Yeah, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor. This is another tool in the tool belt for the city to make sure that we're not just saying we're a city that respects and honors everyone. We'll have another mechanism in place so everybody feels as though Cincinnati is a place where they will be embraced. Hate crimes have no place on planet Earth, and they definitely have no place in this city. So thank you to the Vice Mayor and the administration and the colleagues on this dais that will make sure that they won't be tolerated in this city, and the full measures of the law will come against you if you participate in any of these hate crimes. Thank you.
President Parks, then I saw Ms. Owens.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. This is important. And I'm just so proud to serve with people that know how to address these types of things. I'm so sorry that we have to, but we do. So thank you.
Thank you, President. Ms. Owens.
Yeah, so thank you to both Councilmember Albee and Vice Mayor Kearney. I know, Councilmember Albee, you submitted a motion similar to this. And so just thinking about, again, this climate that we're in and the importance of being together, and I can certainly appreciate the words of Bishop Sonny James. And so just since the inauguration, 8,000 federal web pages taken down around resources about hate. 1,000 pages from the Office of Justice Programs, including things like teenage dating violence, and those information around grants and combating hate crime. So again, everything in our power that we can do right now is really how we should continue to focus on all of the decisions that we have to make. So thank you again to my colleagues.
Before I go to Mr. Jeffries, any comments on this side? No, Mr. Jeffries, go ahead.
Not to reiterate what folks said, but I think a big part of this is reporting and data collection. The more that we make it clear what's happening and where people can go, then sunshine is the best cure. And it is unacceptable, but the more that we know what's happening, the better we can respond. Thank you.
Seeing no other comments, roll call and adoption of the motion, please.
Councilmember Albee? Yes. Councilmember Crammerdine? Yes. Councilmember Jeffries?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson? Vice Mayor Kearney?
Yes.
Councilmember Nolan?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Parks?
Yes.
Councilmember Walsh?
Yes.
Item 47 is a motion from Councilmember Albee that the city administration provide a report within 90 days on the city's existing food contacts and I believe that may be contracts. Sorry, let me reread that. Item 47 is a motion from Councilmember Albee that the city administration provide a report within 90 days on the city's existing food contracts and procurement policies. Vice Mayor, this is in Healthy Neighborhoods. May I have Ms. Albee introduce this item?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Ms. Albee.
Thank you. Yeah, so we have worked with various groups around the city who are looking at different approaches to addressing food insecurity and food waste. And one of the questions we've gotten as a city is, what's the city's policy when it comes to how we contract with food and everything? And my response was, I don't know. I don't even know how much food the city is ordering. So this is really just a motion for us to figure out, do we have any food contracts through the city? And if so, are we following our own best practices when it comes to, reducing food waste and local sourcing?
Thank you. Other comments? Seeing none, roll call and adoption of the motion, please.
Councilmember Albee?
Yes.
Councilmember Crammerdine?
Yes.
Councilmember Jeffries?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson? Vice Mayor Kearney?
Yes.
Councilmember Nolan?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Parks?
Yes.
Councilmember Walsh?
Yes.
Item 48 is a motion from President Parks that the administration enact the following requirements to increase visibility and accessibility of wheelchair-accessible restrooms at public events. Vice Mayor, may I have President Parks introduce this item?
Yes, please.
President Parks.
Thank you, Mayor. So this came about because two ladies from LAD came down and spoke to me. The importance of listening to people became crystal clear to me in this instance. They went to the Flying Pig Marathon and could not find a bathroom where somebody in a wheelchair would find accessibility. Well, I was there too, and it did not occur to me. But this is very important. And so the administration got together, and so now we're going to make it happen. And so if I can have my two friends stand up from LAD. Thank you. So thank you for your advocacy and for coming down and letting us know how important this is.
Thank you, President.
Mr. President.
Other comments? I saw Vice Mayor, then I saw Mr. Johnson. Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
President Pro Tem Parks and your two friends from LAD, thank you so much. This is really important. This is why representation matters. There's some things, everybody, we just didn't think about, and this is just fundamental to human dignity. And so thank you so much for doing this, super important, and thank you so much for having faith in council. We appreciate it.
Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, President Pro Tem Parks, and the advocates here. Thank you for caring, President Pro Tem Parks. Thank you for showing a heart of compassion for our underserved, a portion of our underserved community. We have to all do this together, and things like this, President Pro Tem Parks, shows that we are a city that wants to make sure every last one of our citizens feels a part of this city. So thank you.
Mr. Jeffries.
This is definitely a Victoria Parks legacy idea because it fits her very much, right? It's compassionate, it's listening to folks, it's very tangible, but it's a very meaningful quality of life impact and for those involved. So thank you, President Pro Tem, for your leadership on it.
Hear, hear. Any other comments? Roll call on adoption of the motion, please.
Councilmember Albee? Yes. Councilmember Kermadine?
Yes.
Councilmember Jeffries?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson? Vice Mayor Kearney?
Yes.
Councilmember Nolan?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Parks?
Yes.
Councilmember Walsh?
Yes.
Item 49 is a amended motion from the Vice Mayor, Councilmember Johnson, President Parks, that the City of Cincinnati provide a report in 2 weeks on what actions are currently in place to ensure equity in the disbursement of the proceeds of the sale of the Cincinnati Southern Railway, so that our underserved neighborhoods benefit from the proceeds from the sale in terms of both existing infrastructure and new economic development opportunities. Vice Mayor?
Thank you. So President Pro Tem Parks, Councilmember Scotty Johnson and I, back in October of 2023, when the sale of the railway was, the Cincinnati Southern Railway was being hotly debated, realized that there were so many members of our community who were distrustful, understandably, and felt that once we get the proceeds from the sale of the railway, that they won't be invested in our underserved neighborhoods. And so we asked our Office of Performance and Data Analytics to give us socioeconomic data for all of our neighborhoods. We took the 15 with the lowest median incomes and the ones that had been really not invested in or underinvested in, and we named those the Rising 15 because those neighborhoods, we really need to support them rising up. And so that is how the Rising 15 motion came about, and it's a way of making sure that there's fairness in the distribution of the proceeds of the railway sales, so that our neighborhoods that have been ignored will now be invested in. And this is really important. We also ask for transparency, so it's easy for the public to see where the money is going. It's easy and very accessible. So that was in October of 2023. It never came before full council. Eventually the motion was sunset, even though we often refer to the Rising 15, which is wonderful, and we also are getting transparency with the sale of the proceeds. There's a dashboard that's developed for that. So given that, we said, let's bring it back because we promised our community that we would get a policy in place, and even though some of these actions already are happening, we haven't really put a policy in place. Council hasn't done that. So we're bringing it back for that reason. We asked for the report because, as I said, some of these elements from this motion are already in place. So let's see what's in place, and then council can vote on a full policy.
Other comments? Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you to the Vice Mayor and President Pro Tem Parks. Myself, the Vice Mayor, and Mr. Nolan were at a meeting yesterday in Winton Hills. And really, the message from this council and this dais, and I applaud the administration also, has to continuously be that we want to see you achieve. We want to see you different than where you were in 2025. The one thing I talk about is after I leave this dais, I pray that things got better as a result of us sitting here. And those Rising 15 communities are not the same 15 they were in 2025. So this is one of those checks and balances where transparency will tell the story. And we want to make sure that we're a city, that all 52 neighborhoods feel a part of the city and are included in the upward mobility. And I know the people on this dais feel the same way, and making sure the needle continues to swing positive for all 52 communities. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. President Parks, and then we'll open it up to non-sponsors.
Yes, sir. I just second everything that the Vice Mayor and my colleague, Councilmember Johnson, has said. It is important that we leave the city in a better condition than what it was when we got here. And so there's so much passion on this dais. And so, again, I'm proud to be a part of it. And happy that I get to express my passions.
Thank you, President. Ms. Owens, and then Mr. Nolan.
Thank you. I am certainly looking forward to getting this report, and I also can appreciate the approach of knowing what things are in place so that we can tell the story of this city and the historic moment that we are in with our railroad dollars. So we know that that is rooted in information and data and a framework, because as I will always say, equity is not just a word, it's a framework. And so that's certainly a critical piece to be established, and it creates the foundation. And so some of the existing frameworks around how we can even spend these dollars now, definitely interested in exploring more around the city manager's Cincy on-track plan. I think there's also frameworks to look to from this previous administration, like Justice 40, because it is important to make sure we're making investments in those communities who have not historically seen that. And so establishing what the problem is, I know it will probably be a thoughtful process, part of the process here, because it's going to require OPDA and other departments, I think, to come together so that when we are setting aspirational goals, we're also making sure that they are achievable. So looking forward to the report.
Mr. Nolan, then Mr. Jeffries.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to share my support for everything that my colleagues and the sponsors of this motion have shared, and recognize that the initial version of this, which came up back in 2023, helped guide, I think, the priorities that the administration took into account in building what is now Cincy on Track and a level of transparency. That doesn't mean our work is done, but we're using that information to guide how we invest these funds moving forward, and look forward to working on this together.
Thank you. Mr. Jeffries.
Thank you. And yeah, I mean, I think we can all agree on objectives. I think it's what we ran on, and why we're up here is making sure that we correct a lot of the disparities, and look forward to the report on how we are spending money on the on Cincy on Track in a lot of these neighborhoods. The one area I think we need further discussion on, and I'm not in agreement with, is spending money from the railroad on this. Just in principle, we promise voters to do the exact opposite. It's exactly what we promised we would not do, is to spend railroad dollars for other purposes besides infrastructure. So if we do want to spend it, which I think it's valid, then I think we need to think about where we identify that source of funds separate of capital and money that we have planned, because what we promised to voters is the money for the railroad is going to be in addition to what we're currently spending. And so if we want to find $15 million to invest, which this is very important and strategic, then I think we need to find $15 million separate of the capital budget. So I think it's further discussion for us to have as this motion comes back.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Other comments? Mr. Johnson, then the Vice Mayor.
Thank you. I want to make it clear, and I'm not saying, and my colleagues are saying this, we're not trying to say taking railroad money and doing things outside of infrastructure. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about with the alleged extra money that is coming to make sure that these rising 15 communities get what they have been overlooked for. So I agree with you, Mr. Jeffries. We definitely don't want to try to change what I believe is state law or what the rest of the 8 voted on. I'm not trying to change that. I'm just saying that we want to make sure those underserved communities with the extra 25, I pray it's 50 million, those 15 rising communities start to get the attention that they didn't receive. So I just want to clarify that. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Johnson. And just so we know the numbers that we're talking about, we generally got $25 million from the lease this year. I think it's been reported that we'll be receiving $56 million. So there's an extra $30 million to help us with about $400 million deficit on the infrastructure side. Vice Mayor, go ahead.
Thank you so much for that, and thank you, Councilmember Johnson, for clarifying. I was just going to point that out too, that this is not changing state law. This is not against what we voted for. So when we talk about a fund for our rising 15 neighborhoods, part of that we was talking about swapping out money, so that money that we would have spent for infrastructure from our capital fund, now we can use railway funds for existing infrastructure, and so some of that money can be swapped out. That's what we're talking about. But we haven't had, as we said, we have not had a discussion in council about this, and so these are things we can clarify. But just to be clear, we are not changing state law. This is well within the state law, and it is what we promised our residents, our voters, that we would be fair, that this money, the proceeds from the sale of the railway, would be distributed equitably, and that means neighborhoods that have been ignored in the past will now have a chance to rise up, the rising 15. Thank you.
Mayor.
Other comments? The city manager would like to weigh in. President Parks, may we go to her first? Go ahead, Ms. Long.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make sure, because we are approaching budget and the city administration has been working hard to try to organize to make sure we're presenting projects that are based on our Cincy on Track plan. And I wanted to read the statement that we have for the equity and all that we presented back before the dollars were actually received. And it says the administration will prioritize projects to drive increased equity in our city by analyzing the demographics of the beneficiaries most directly affected by each proposed project and identifying those projects that can deliver the most benefit to historically underserved minority and low-income communities. The intent is that the methodology for decision-making will create and institutionalize a new approach that will drive consistently equitable infrastructure funding and improve service delivery to our communities in the greatest need moving forward. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands that what we will be presenting, that the projects that we are going to be moving forward with and asking for council to vote on, that is the spirit of what all city department directors were told to look as what we are presenting.
Mr. President.
I think President Parks wanted to weigh in. I'm sorry. President Parks, then we'll go to you, Vice Mayor.
Yes, thank you, City Manager. And I also wanted to bring up the fact that the City Manager has created a dashboard for our Rising 15. So, you know, while a lot of these things are in place, we just didn't have written policy, and we need it so that once we're gone, future councils will have policy to look at instead of just remembering, you know, this is what we wanted to do. So, City Manager, thank you for all of your hard work, and this dashboard is going to be valuable in a way for us to measure our progress.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
President Pro Tem said it all. Thank you.
Okay. I saw some other potential comments. Any other comments on this side? Comments on this side? I look forward to this report as well. Of course, we want to continue to lead with equity. The Cincy on Track plan, I believe, is entirely consistent with those goals. I just want to continue to point us to why such a significant decision as selling the railroad was necessary. And again, it was that $400 million deferred capital maintenance hole that we are in. So we have a limited amount of money in order to make the biggest impact. And I'm hoping that both Cincy on Track and the results of this study can continue to help us along that way. But I also agree that we haven't fully had the debate about the substance of this. And so when the report comes back, and prior to, obviously, the budget process, hopefully we'll have all the relevant information to make the best decision for the community. Roll call on adoption of the motion, please.
Councilmember Albee? Yes. Councilmember Crammerdine?
Yes.
Councilmember Jeffries?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson? Vice Mayor Kearney?
Yes.
Councilmember Nolan?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Parks?
Yes.
Councilmember Walsh?
Yes.
Our final item, item 50, is a motion from the Vice Mayor that the administration provide a report within 90 days on ways that the city currently is supporting our immigrant communities. Vice Mayor.
Thank you. So, of course, this is a very difficult time, and there are a lot of members of our community living in fear. A lot of families are afraid to take their children to school, go to work, go to their places of worship. and this is happening all over the country. And so what we want to do is make sure that our immigrant community, one, knows their rights, and we talked about that in Healthy Neighborhoods Committee yesterday, and I want to thank the Immigrant and Refugee Law Center for that presentation. Also Catholic Charities and Legal Aid, because I know they're working together to make sure our community knows their rights. Also the Hispanic Chamber and LULAC, the League of United Latin American Citizens, was there presenting as well. And there are other organizations, Ignite Peace, Su Casa Campus, lots of organizations. So what we want to do is make sure that everyone is aware of the organizations and the resources that are out there. Everyone knows their rights, and I think most importantly, that our immigrant community knows that they are part of our Cincinnati family, and we are all here together supporting one another.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Other comments? Seeing none, roll call on adoption of the motion.
Mayor, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Go ahead, Ms. Owens.
Yeah, no, I thank you again, Vice Mayor, for convening the conversation with IRLC and the public library. Certainly, given this time, communities are fearful. And so we started the conversation in CEI with some of those organizations, and we will continue to engage with those community stakeholders. We certainly know that people are not showing up to school. Events are being canceled, and so there's also a very sensitive nature to this as well. You know, there are folks that understand that they're getting information, let's say, not necessarily in the public domain, but in spaces where they certainly trust the deliverer. And so I just want to remind us to be thoughtful and cautious, and making sure that we are not exacerbating fear in communities. And so it's certainly a space of considering consequences of retribution and actions. And so this is just a critical time for us to continue to come together, but to continue to also be very thoughtful about every decision that we make right now.
Thank you. Any other comments? I'll just add, I think clarity in knowing your rights and communicating what the roles are for the various stakeholders in our community is important. And so in order to drive clarity, if both the Healthy Neighborhoods and CEI committees are working on this with our partners, if Councilmember Owens and the Vice Mayor could join forces so that we have one clear message coming from City Hall about our plans and also the rights of our most vulnerable communities. Roll call on adoption of the motion, item 50, please.
Councilmember Albee?
Yes.
Councilmember Crammerdine?
Yes.
Councilmember Jeffries?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson? Vice Mayor Kearney?
Yes.
Councilmember Nolan?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Parks?
Yes.
Councilmember Walsh?
Yes.
That concludes the business portion of our agenda. City Manager Long, do you have any announcements?
I do, Mayor. Okay, we have reached this moment in time. ACM Talon will probably start crying, so let's get ready, guys. Today, we wish a very fond farewell to the one and only Assistant City Manager, Virginia Talon. So, I want to take a little bit of time to walk down memory lane. Virginia joined the City and the Quality of Life Division on the Solicitor's Office in 2018 of January. As we all know she tends to do, she threw herself wholeheartedly at the work and saw immediate wins. In her first year, she established a monthly meeting with CMHA, our region's largest provider of affordable housing, and saw a 90% reduction in code violations. She set herself apart as a strong leader, collaborator, and problem solver who is passionate about helping our most vulnerable populations. Her star kept rising. She was chosen to lead the code enforcement response team while juggling litigation focused on preserving affordable housing in neighborhoods like Walnut Hills and Avondale. She then joined the city manager's office, first to lead the human service initiatives and then by my side as assistant city manager. She is everything you could wish for in a public servant, and I have been grateful every day to work so closely with someone who shares my love for this city. I know I talk about Team No Sleep because this city is always moving and we are here to support it. But I am telling you, there have been times where I have had to force Virginia to get sleep because of the work that she has been doing on behalf of this city. No one lives up to this more than Virginia, who always takes my calls any hours of the day. Sometimes she's whispering while her kids are sleeping, and I know I've probably woken them up for her to not get any sleep moving forward. She shows up to the meetings, whether that's inside the community, outside the community. There has been times where I told Virginia, do not come to this community meeting or this outside in the community effort. And she has been there regardless, talking about, I had nothing better to do with her little toddlers next to her. She sends the emails and serves those who need it the most. She does all this while juggling being a wife and mom to 2 little boys. Virginia, you are an inspiration, and I know every time we walk into a room, you bring support, guidance, and clarity of vision. You lead with your heart and your passion, which is where Jenny from the block came from. It's paired with a brain that is usually working 10 steps ahead. I know this is a bittersweet day, and I'm not the only one who wants to say something, by the way, because I have some of your colleagues who want to speak as well. But the city is better for you being here, and we will all miss working with you every single day and that candy jar that you have. But I'm confident this next step will provide continued opportunity for you to leave a positive mark on this city. Thank you for your unwavering dedication, trusted partnership, and true friendship. But before anybody takes it, some members of the administration wants to speak up as well. Billy, then Emily.
Thank you, Manager. And I usually wouldn't speak this much in this forum, but one, I really believe in the value of the public record in this forum for historical context, so I want to make sure it's on the record. And then I also feel that voters should know how well democracy worked in this instance in choosing their leader. So some of you may know, but Virginia and I started around the same time in the law department, and we shared a cubicle, essentially, when that started. So I could hear all of her phone conversations, she could hear all of mine, and we could actually make eye contact mid-phone call. So that started then, and then I've had a front row seat to watching Virginia work for years at this point. And first and foremost, what I've learned is Virginia just cares deeply about others. What I love most about how she cares about others is how aggressively Virginia cares about others, especially when it comes to folks in our population that are most vulnerable, or there's this injustice that she sees. And she never is able to stand, as the manager said, she's never able to stand on the sidelines. And she has this amazing ability, especially in times of crisis, to somehow be physically everywhere, leading from the front, but she really leads with, it's all compassion and not ego. And so she's precisely the type of person you want in public service, and we were very lucky to have her for the time we did.
Oh, Virginia. So there's 3 things that I want to share with you, Virginia. One is a fun anecdote, because I'm going to keep you from crying for a minute. The second is a serious note, and then the third is a thank you. So first, I want to share that when you work in public service, you have people that you work with that sometimes you just gel and you can work together and get the job done without really having to communicate all of the details of we're going to do it this way or that way. And the manifestation of that for you and I, Virginia, was the time that Cheryl Long put us in a canoe on the Milk Creek, in which you and I just decided we're going to start canoeing down the Milk Creek because that's the assignment that we've been given. And we were the first ones to reach the stopping point. We got inducted into the Milk Creek Yacht Club by the Admiral, all for city service. And though that is like the fun of it, in so many ways I have watched and I've been really privileged to work with Virginia just putting her head down and doing the work no matter what's asked of her. Which leads me to the second point that I want to emphasize how fortunate the citizens of Hamilton County are. Because in this time of uncertainty about what the rule of law means and what our roles are, I'm so incredibly thankful to have you taking the bench because you know the importance of the rule of law, but like you also feel the practice of law and the practical, tangible impact that these decisions have on people, and I'm so thankful for you to be taking the bench. And finally, I want to just thank you again for all of your work, but I also want to thank Brian and the kids for sharing so much of you with us. So thank you, Virginia.
So I have a bunch of members of Team Cincy that is here. I don't know if any of them want to say anything on behalf of Virginia. I think Iris always is wanting to say something, so let.
What in the Ozark is going on here? Most people don't know, or I don't know if they know. That's where you were born, in Los Angeles, lived in the Ozark. So now we understand your out-of-the-box thinking. So Virginia, when I met you, I wasn't for sure how you were going to receive this voice and this attitude and the self-determination and protection around the collaborative agreement. I didn't know that you were going to be able to digest Sarah and problem solving the way that you have. There are some people that don't ever get it. And then there are some people that slowly get it. Then there are some people that immediately get it. You immediately got it. And when the light bulb went on, you and I became sisters. And that was like 5 minutes after you met me. And because of that brilliance and that caring and kind heart and the soul that rests inside of you, you made this work, the hard work, the grunt part of it, and you took it and you said, we're going to exacerbate that no matter what happens. You and Cheryl learned at the same time on a test run of what problem solving really is, and you made it what it can be. For that, the Cincinnati Black United Front and the Iris Rowley have a ginormous thank you for embedding that language in all of that you have done. And all of that will come out of what you have done because you've written it. And once it's written, so be it. We say thank you with so much gratitude for loving up on and protecting the work that we embarked 24 years ago. With much gratitude and thank you, Virginia. My ginger, congratulations on becoming a judge, and we know that you're going to take all these skills with you to help solve these root causational problems that we talk about often. Thank you.
That's my report. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, City Manager Long. Council members, Vice Mayor.
Well, I can't believe this day has actually come. It's, when you were running for judge and, we were just behind you 100%, we said, except if you win, that means you're leaving. That's the only bad part. And so here we are. I'm so proud of you. I could tell lots of stories. Every time we had meetings, you always had new ideas and new things, and you're passionate and enthusiastic. But I think what really struck me the most about you was after we had that mass shooting and you went out and walked the streets, asked people what they needed, what they wanted. And I said, you did? You were out there just walking around, and you were. And It wasn't the first time, it wasn't the last time, but it shows your connection with the people of Cincinnati in every neighborhood, in every community, and that's so important. So thank you for that. Thank you for your work, and we really appreciate you. We're going to cheer you on the bench, but I hope this will always be your home right here in City Hall.
Mr. Jeffries?
Yeah, first of all, the Mill Creek story does not surprise, I think shouldn't surprise any of us. Even if you didn't tell that story, we said one, boat actually came across first, I think we would all assume that it would be that one. So that is characteristic. No, this is very bittersweet. I think a lot of the attributes that have made you amazing in the city will be amazing on the bench. And it is a lot of the same things. And it's funny when people were, I think Emily was talking about feeling, I think back, you take a personality test and you're like, are you a thinker or a feeler? And I don't know which one you are, because you're both. You usually are one or the other, more of a feeler or more of a thinker, and you have such a great balance. I tell my kids that you want to be competent in what you do, but then also passionate, and especially in public service, caring. And with the passion, passion by itself is not good enough without really doing the work and digging in and doing the hard work, and you do that. And I think your passion is driven from your caring, because you care so much. That fuels you being passionate to really make an impact. So thank you for that, and look forward, I think all of us do, to seeing your impact on the bench and beyond.
Thank you. Mr. Nolan?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Thank you, ACM. Virginia, we've had the opportunity to work together in several different ways, both in the administration together, as a private citizen on city issues, on the campaign trail, and now here on council. And every time we have that opportunity to interact, you show up prepared and passionate, and that passion and preparedness clearly demonstrates to everyone involved that you're the expert in so many different ways, and shows the leadership that you bring to those spaces. And sad to see you leave City Hall, but excited to have you at the courthouse involved in public service, and look forward to seeing the great things you do there. Thank you.
Ms. Owens, just council members, I'm going back and forth, just as a heads up. So Ms. Owens, and then Councilmember Albee.
Thank you. Virginia, you are the consummate, I'm going to cry, you are the consummate public servant. And I knew that because, again, I heard about you before even coming into this building because of your work on the Children's and Families Cabinet. And when I got to the opportunity to work with you, and some of that was, picking up on the Children's and Families Cabinet, I knew that you were a woman who gets things done when you pulled out a whiteboard at a meeting. I said, that is my kind of person, my kind of girl, because you care. You are compassionate, and you also think at a systems level, which is so important in spaces like this, and being a public servant, because that's what we're here to do, not perpetuate the status quo, but to change systems. And so I appreciate you being on the front line of so many issues, important to me, work important to me, and again, committed to seeing things through. Getting things done. So lucky to have you here in this building, lucky to know you, have you as a friend, but I know that you will continue to do great work, and you will continue to impact another important system, and that is our court system, our judicial system. I can't think of a better person to sit on the bench and to make decisions that will improve outcomes for this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Albee, and then President Parks.
Virginia, I told you I was going to keep this short, but I lied. I have more to say. I'm sorry. Thank you. It's been truly such an honor to at least have a year working with you. I'm really grateful to have that time. And, to repeat all of what has been said already, your compassion blended with your know-how is just so remarkable. And I think I've told this story before, but we went out to Roll Hill and talked with some community members there, and the community members had came with a list of 4 or 5 major issues. Virginia had all of those solved within 24 hours. It was remarkable. She came in, she said, bop, 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 this is what we're doing, and just knocked it out one at a time. And it was, my jaw was on the floor how well versed you were not only in the mechanisms to help and solve the questions, but how quickly you got it done. And I think that is just one snapshot of what everyone has mentioned here. And I would be remiss if I didn't highlight the work you did for achieving change together. I think, oh God, don't make me cry. ACT is truly a remarkable legacy, the work you've done around gun violence prevention, violence reduction. Thank you for doing that for us. I promise we're going to keep that work going. It is in good hands. I promise you we will get that work done. So thank you. It's been an honor to serve alongside you. And for the one sentence I told you I was going to say, I am looking forward from calling you colleague to calling you my friend.
Thank you. President Parks?
Virginia, I'm just so proud of you. I look forward to watching you affect the city even more in the courts, because that's where we're going to need you, and I know that you'll do the work. So it's not goodbye. It's you're just moving on. I'm proud of you. I kind of feel like an aunt or something. And take care, honey. God bless you.
Mr. Walsh, and then Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, Virginia, we first actually started to work together because for like the first 4 weeks of my time on council, you called me every weekend that you were on duty with some crazy emergency going on, and I eventually started asking Cheryl to not let you be the on-duty ACM because it was kind of crazy how that kept lining up. Obviously, my area on council hasn't overlapped tremendously with areas that you've been on, that you work on, but the times that we've worked together, you always got it done, like immediately. I mean, it was truly amazing to see that whiteboard. Everyone laughed at it, but it's so true. I mean, that whiteboard comes out, problems get solved, and you can go home, and it's like, oh, I got 15 minutes back from that 20-minute meeting. Like, it was great. I'm not going to repeat what everybody else has said. I'm excited to see you on the bench, but I think one of the most remarkable things in a leader is not just leading and doing the work, but raising up the next person to succeed you. And so sitting next to you is ACM, John Brzezina, who's already really stepped into your role and learned so much, and it's because you've been preparing him for so long. And so not only have you left big shoes to fill, and you have a legacy that's going to live on, but you've set yourself and the legacy and the city up for success because you raised up the next leader too.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson, and then Mr. Cramerding.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Virginia, thank you for your authenticity and your commitment to this amazing city. It is rare in this time where people in position of decision making are authentic and they are moving toward the betterment of people versus their own agenda. That is what I have respected about you more than anything else. You were authentic, and you wanted to see the betterment of this city and the least of these come up as a result of you being here. I greatly appreciated that, having been around the corner a number of years here in this city. It is refreshing to see somebody moving onto the bench that's authentic, that cares about people, and want to see the best for people versus moving your own agenda. Stay authentic. I'm praying with you, sister, that the bench is just another step in what the Lord Almighty has for you. Congratulations.
And finally, Mr. Cramerding.
Thank you, Mayor. Talent, we got to know each other when I was part of the legal aid family through marriage, so that was a great group of people. And once we started to work together at the city, I remember our initial conversations, we would both preface it with comments like, do you mind if I be frank? And we quickly stopped because I knew when we talked we were both going to bring it and bring it direct. So I always appreciate your candor and will continue to seek your advice and counsel as we move forward. Thank you.
This is hard. It's hard. I said a lot last week, and a lot of people have talked about, rightly so, just your extraordinary impact on our community just through your public service and just your myopic, laser-focused mission to help people. You know, I wanted to just briefly talk about your impact on me personally. We've known each other for a long time, since law school when we were classmates, but we didn't really get to know each other until we started working together in this building. And, you know, at first I was really intimidated by you and a little bit scared, but I'm glad we both gave each other a chance because I'm just so proud of the relationship that we've built together. I really rely on you for counsel. I really rely on you for your subject matter expertise and your passion. In many ways, the city in your time has followed your lead, specifically on the generational challenge of gun violence. And I'm blessed to have a village, but you're one of those members of the village, amongst others, who really taught me how to be mayor and what to focus on and prioritize and how to have the courage of our convictions. And I can't thank you enough for all of that work for our community, but also how much you've poured into me individually. I know that whenever there's a transition in life, a new job, there's going to be stress and concern about the future. But just know to your core that, Virginia, you take yourself wherever you go, and wherever you go, justice follows. You have a whole building who is standing behind you, supporting you in this new challenge. And I'm so excited to see you break some eggs. Congratulations and good luck. And Assistant City Manager, Virginia Talent.
I'm sorry, I'm such an ugly crier, everybody. I am beyond touched by your words, and I am so grateful. As the manager said it, today is deeply bittersweet. As I say goodbye to you and to this job that I love as Assistant City Manager, this job and serving the people of Cincinnati has been really the greatest honor of my professional life. And I am deeply grateful to all of you and to many people that are not in this room for the opportunity to have worked alongside really, I think, the most passionate and remarkable and intelligent leaders in the city. And this is where I'm really going to start crying. I want to extend a special thank you to the city's executive team, many of whom are up here and some of whom are not, for your expertise, your leadership, your tireless, often thankless work behind the scenes to make the city run. To all of our directors, I have been so fortunate to work with you and to learn from you. And to City Manager Cheryl Long. Cheryl, you are an incredible leader, but you're an even better person. Your vision and your determination and your belief in people has made a lasting impact on our community. And I am so grateful to you for the opportunity to work here. And while I'm leaving 801 Plum, you can be assured that my dedication to justice, to fairness, to sleepless nights, and to hard work is going to continue. And to problem solving. I'm going to carry with me all of the lessons that I've learned from each of you And really the lessons that I think have been the most important for me have been about collaboration. They've been about the power of community and community collaboration, and about the collective responsibility we all have to shape the city that we want and the community that we want. So I will continue to share that with you. Thank you to all of you, to the community partners, to the residents of Cincinnati who have made this work meaningful. It is really my privilege. And I feel so undeserving and grateful to all of you for your words today.
For the last time, congratulations to Assistant City Manager Virginia Talent. Council members, any announcements? Mr. Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On another, well, this is a positive note as opposed to the celebration we just had there. Cincinnati Recreation Commission won the 2024 Governor's Award last night in Sandusky. They were recognized for the Rec at Night program, so I want to make sure they give a special shout out for this.
Hey, there we go.
And also, this week in Cincinnati history is kind of an interesting one in the sense that it is in February 5th, 1819, the General Assembly of Ohio chartered Cincinnati as a city. Now, if you look this up to say, is Seth right about this or does he just make up his history facts, you'll see that it did not actually take effect till March 1st, 1819. So we are not officially recognizing this day, but it is a big day from the State Assembly.
Awesome, thank you. Announcement on this side? Seeing none? Vice Mayor?
I would like to remind everyone, first of all, happy Black History Month. February 7th, which is Friday at noon, we're having the Pan-African flag raising in celebration of Black History Month. Sister Kelly in my office, Paul Booth in the Human Relations Office, and lots of other people, Leah Seho from the Kwanzaa Committee for the City, and lots of other folks have just worked really hard on this. So please come out, celebrate. It'll be a fun time and a very important time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Other announcements? Seeing none, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.